All right, sit down because we need to have a talk. But firstly, let's talk about the fact that it is now full-blown hot water bottle season in the UK. I'm on to thermos flasks and hot water bottles, and I'm not quite here for it, but it's okay. Secondly, I'm injured again. This is so classic me. I've hurt my back. It's not my disc, it's actually a ligament strain. So I've got an ice pack on my back at the moment and a hot water bottle strapped to my front. What is my life? This is peak 30s, right? Thirdly, we are still on the decaf coffee train. However, I made the fatal error of buying myself some decaf coffee beans for my machine, and now I'm having far too much coffee every day. Even if it's decaf, I'm having far too much. So I really need to rein that in. And fourth, there is literally someone sitting outside my window playing a drum kit. I really hope you can't hear it. I feel like this video is a little bit cursed because I actually filmed this video yesterday and all the footage corrupted. So I'm sitting down to talk to you guys again, but now there's someone playing drums outside my window. So fingers crossed, that's not gonna bother you. Now that beautifully brings us to the topic of this video, which is 10 health and fitness reminders. And the reason I'm making this video, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, it's gonna be punchy, is because I see you guys being too hard on yourselves and beating yourselves up when you really don't have to be. So I came up with 10, I narrowed it down from many, many more, 10 things that you may just need to hear today in relation to your health and fitness that will help you. All right, so let's dive straight in. Number one is your goals will probably change. What you're trying to achieve and your life is not set in stone. Your perspectives are gonna change, your preferences are gonna change, your lifestyle is gonna change, and more importantly, you are gonna change, and therefore your goals are too. Instead of resisting this, embrace it and see it as an opportunity to grow. Number two is that not every setback needs analyzing or justifying. And yes, I'm putting setback into air quotes because realistically, these things are just a normal part of the process. But I feel like we often think that we need to justify what's happened in the past or give it a narrative to be able to accept it and move on. But actually sometimes just accepting that this is a part of the journey and that you don't need to overanalyze things that have happened is gonna be a much better use of your energy and time than simply dwelling on things that have happened in the past. Instead, focus on what you're doing today and what you're going to be doing tomorrow, rather than thinking about things that you can't change that have already happened. We don't need to justify things, we don't need to overanalyze it, and we don't need to give it a narrative. Move on and focus on the now. And yes, I totally know it's human nature to look back on things that have happened in the past as well and go, I wish I'd done this, I wish I hadn't done that, I wish this had been different. I do it too, it's completely normal. But one of my favorite quotes is, no amount of guilt is gonna change the past and no amount of anxiety is gonna change the future. So you may as well focus on now. Number three is exercise is simply movement. So try not to overthink it too much. I feel like this is one of the biggest things that, I'm not gonna say slips people up, but creates a lot of friction and anxiety in a health and fitness journey, is overthinking what exercise is. Like I say, it simply is just different ways to move your body and giving it different stimuluses, which is going to promote a response. Now, unless you have a very specific training goal or you're a professional athlete, it's really just not that big. What you should be doing is enjoying moving your body in so many different ways and finding what really works for you. You don't have to worry about having the perfect routine and the perfect workout split and making sure you're doing the exact exercise you need to be doing. I talk about this all the time, but there really is no perfect type of workout or type of exercise. What's going to be ideal is something that you enjoy, that you get some benefits out of. Because there are so many things that movement can bring to your life. It can bring you social interaction, it can give you self-care time, it can make you stronger and give you health longevity, it can make you see progress in different areas. The list goes on and on and on. And there are so many things to be explored. So it's not that deep, try not to overthink it, and simply remember that exercise is just movement. Number four, we are moving away from exercise and we're coming straight for nutrition, and that is stop punishing yourself for having a bad day of eating. Whether you think that yesterday was an absolute disaster or you've had a week or a month of just not eating to how you normally would, you do not need to punish yourself today by starving yourself or skipping out or being ultra restrictive. In fact, that is a pointless endeavor. We know we want to think about sustainability. We want to think about consistency. And this all means long-term thinking. So by just punishing yourself today and being ultra restrictive, you're just going to make things harder for yourself down the track, or feeding into this rhetoric of having good versus bad or being on or off. That's what we want to avoid. It's all about balance. So instead of thinking about what's happened and feeling guilty about it, focus on having balance and nutrition today, and remember that it's a long-term mindset that we want to look at. We want to think about that sustainability. We want to think about that consistency. And not only that, but life is just too short. So stop beating yourselves up. And while we're on the topic of nutrition, number 5 is your body needs fuel even on the days where you don't do anything. That means, yes, you need to eat. Yes, you need to give your body some food. And yes, you need to treat your body with the respect it deserves, because your body is doing incredible things for you every single second, every single minute of every single day. And that is relentless. It never stops. Even if you were to wake up and simply lie in bed all day, your body requires a significant amount of energy just to be able to do the basic functions to keep you alive. So yes, you do need to eat and you do need to fuel yourself, even on the days where you feel like you're not doing anything. And while we're on the topic of it, if there's some days where you just go to town and you really enjoy yourself, let's say you're out with your girlfriends and you're having an amazing meal, maybe a couple of drinks, and you go home and you smash down a couple of chocolate bars and a couple more drinks and you're having a great time, that is okay. That is what life is. So don't beat yourself up about it. And then remember, when you eat, you are fueling your body with what it needs to be able to look after you. Number 6 is life happens, and that is okay. In fact, that's more than okay. That is normal. That's what makes life exciting. So instead of seeing setbacks or fluctuations as being a bad thing, start to think of it as something that's normal and something that we should expect and that we should embrace. By accepting the fact that there's going to be times where you're motivated and times when you're not, times when you're going to be really on it and dedicated and times when you're really not, and times where you just love what you're doing and times when you don't, you realize that it's all about balance and the whole journey starts to become a lot easier. So expect these things might happen, ride the wave when it comes, and know that there's going to be calmer waters behind, and then you're going to get another wave and then there's going to be calmer waters. It's just a fact of life, and why would we want it any other way? How boring would that be? All right, number 7, and this one's a big one. Enjoy the process. I feel like it's very easy to say, but it's quite hard to actually put into action. And I think the easiest way you can learn this is by going through it. And then when you look back, you realize that actually, yeah, the enjoyment really is in the journey and in the process. Because we always set a goal, and ultimately, once you get to that goal, the goalpost will just move. Because what will likely happen is you'll set yourself a goal, and because you're badass, you'll achieve that goal, and you'll get there and you'll be like, woo, I've achieved this goal. And then you're just left thinking, okay, now what? And that goalpost just moves a little bit further away, or you might just change direction completely. And what you realize then is when you look back, all the little things that you're actually proud of and that make you smile and that you remember, they're the things that actually happened along the way. They're the tiny, minute, boring details day to day that you didn't really notice at the time, but when you look back, created a big part of that journey. And while you can't always feel it in the moment, try to cherish every little thing that you're doing every day to work towards your goal, because that's the stuff that really matters. All right, we are flying through these. Numero 8 is, you might not know what you're doing when you start, but trust me, as soon as you start, you will learn so much along the way. I'm pretty sure we all know this, and we've experienced the saying that is, taking the first step is the hardest step. Well, that is definitely true, because it's scary. We want to sort of stay in the comfort of the familiar and not go to the discomfort of the unknown. And by doing so, we feed into any anxiety that we have, or overanalyzing, or being hypercritical, or that fear we have of starting. And then it just leaves us kind of frozen in the moment that we're in, and we feel like we're never quite making progress. Try to take that first step without feeling like you need everything in place to be perfect and all the knowledge in the world, because ultimately, firstly, you're not going to know all that information. You're never going to. You could literally spend your entire life researching stuff and you'll still never feel ready to do it. But secondly, until you actually start, you're not going to learn everything. And trust me when I say, you will learn so much about yourself and about different areas of what you're trying to do by just simply doing it. I had literally no clue about anything when I started my weight loss journey, and I had literally no clue about calisthenics when I started that either. In fact, I think that was something that was in my favor, was the naivety. And I often say the word like ignorance around it, because I just felt like I wasn't sure what was ahead of me. I didn't even really consider it. So I kind of just jumped in, and I made some mistakes along the way, and I failed at a few things, and I saw success in some different areas, and I started to learn. Doing is so, so valuable. So get rid of worrying about overanalyzing and having to have everything set in stone beforehand. Jump straight in, take that first step, and you will learn so, so much. Number 9, and you will have heard this a million times from me, but progress is not linear. It is diverse. So it's going to be changing, it's going to be fluctuating, it's going to be up and down. And again, why would we want it any other way? We want to have some times where it's a little bit harder and sometimes where it's a little bit easier. Sometimes when we have to grind it out and sometimes when we see progress and we can celebrate those wins. What you'll realize is these little wins add up over time. So when you look at on a longer scale, the little fluctuations that you see day to day will become a much more clearer trend in the direction that you want to go. That being said, don't forget to celebrate all the little victories along the way, and also remember that progress comes in so many different forms. So it might be that you've got a better mood, or you've got better energy, you're sleeping better, your hydration is better, maybe you've got stronger, more functional, maybe your relationships are better, maybe you've made some new friends, maybe you feel more confident about yourself, maybe you just woke up and you faced the day. But everything should be celebrated, and remember, progress comes in so many forms. So just because you're not making progress week on week on week in one area, it doesn't mean that you're not going forward and you're not making progress. I've worked with clients for years who have not actually achieved what they initially set out to achieve, but have made progress in a bajillion different areas, and that is so worth celebrating. And in fact, sometimes you look back and you think, actually, that is so much more important than what my original goal was. And lastly, number 10's a biggie, and that is that we often focus on fixing the symptom, but not the cause. And what I mean by this is that we'll often look at the things on the surface and we'll deal with those, but we don't really think about the fact that there might be a root issue that we're neglecting that is actually causing these to happen. I will give you an example from my own experience, and I talked about this in a few videos, but I was never happy with my weight. I looked in the mirror, I was crying every day, I hated the way I looked, and I thought if I lost weight, I would be happy. And I lost weight, and then I got to that point and I realized that I was still unhappy. And that's because actually gaining weight in the first place was a symptom of a much bigger issue. It was a symptom of boredom, loneliness, low self-worth, low confidence, no feeling of purpose. And so it didn't matter how much weight I lost or how much my body changed. I still felt exactly the same way until I actually addressed the root issue. When I eventually started focusing on those things, I noticed that my relationship with my body and my relationship with my health and fitness and my life in general became so much better. So whatever it is that we're talking about, it doesn't have to be fitness related or body related. It could be regarding work, it could be regarding relationships. Remember, there's often underlying issues that are at play as well, and that should be addressed and prioritized just as much, if not more so, than just simply what you can see on the surface or the symptom. And that is it. I wanted to keep this short and snappy. I wanted to just share these 10 points with you. I hope that something in here has given you comfort, something in here has resonated with you, or you just feel a little bit better about your journey, knowing that you're not alone in feeling this way, because all of these things are very normal. If you have any more that you want to share, drop them down below. Otherwise, do not be mean to yourselves. I hope you have the most beautiful day, and I will see you guys in the next video.